Let's bring him in. Our good friend Nevin Markwart is Flames alum, but far more the Boston Bruins, where he spent most of the 80s. Hey, Nibsy, 309 NHL games with the Bruins and the Flames. Got his nice, beautiful Pats alumni coat on. I got one of those. Nevin, who do you identify more with, Flames alumni or Bruins? I think I know the answer, but who do you follow the most?
Well, I was the Bruins' first pick in the '83 draft, and I was fortunate enough to make the team as an 18-year-old. So, my early mentors were Bobby Orr and Terry O'Reilly and Ray Bourque. And so those days, you just can't take them away. They were so much fun. So I identify pretty solidly as a Boston Bruin.
Okay, good. That's fine. But I didn't want to ask the wrong question here. So with the Bruins winning the President's Trophy 2 years ago and stubbing their toe against the Panthers in round one and then bowing out to the Panthers again last year, are they going to reach the top of the mountain with Jim Montgomery or what? What's the deal with the Bruins?
Yeah. So, the Bruins tradition is to run sprints there's no marathoning going on with the Boston Bruins. And so, a couple of years ago when they had that run and they had, the most points ever in the sort of history of the NHL, that's just the mentality of the team. So, when you look inside of the organization, Cam Neely really revitalized the organization back in 2010, 2011 when they won the Cup. And so, I think the tradition in Boston is to try hard every game. You want your goalie to get hot when you get to the playoffs, maybe a little bit more scoring punch, trying to do things at the trade deadline. But you will always get a solid effort out of a Boston Bruins team. And, I think as a fan and as a management and as a, an ownership group, that's all you can expect. You put everything out on the ice every game. And, when it's all over, you're going to win a lot more games than you're not.
I think you were just out in Alberta, and as I mentioned, or at least you had Country Thunder out there, you've spent a lot of time in Alberta. I've got the Flames picked to be 8th in the Pacific Division. It hurt. It hurt me, but I didn't get a lot of argument from Flames people. How much are you following the rebuild there as they've broken ground, I understand, and done significant progress already on a new facility?
So again, I'm not that close to the Flames and what's going on in Calgary. I would just say this is that, great organizations start with culture. And so I think that, to the degree that they can just re-emphasize those days back in, '89 when they won the Cup, there's a solid group of alums that are in Calgary, and they're working in the community and they're doing great things. And, again, I think that to the degree that you can have some of that fall back on that '89 team and get some of the, current players maybe mingling with those alums and, getting that feeling. There's a feeling when you win. Okay. I played for Boston in '88 and '90 when we lost to Edmonton Oilers, those two times to the Cup. And, the thing about going to the Stanley Cup final is that you have to win. Like there's no alternative. I mean, I'm so, disappointed for the Oilers fans this year because, they were one goal away from winning it all. And you may never, ever get a chance to get back there. So I thought that the playoffs this year were incredibly exciting. The Zach Hymans of the world in Edmonton were just magnificent in that final. And, I think that, whenever you have that rivalry between Edmonton and Calgary, it's awfully tough because Edmonton definitely is in a bit of a crest right now. Like they've had a lot of disappointment over the last 10 years, and it just feels like things might be coming together for them. And Calgary is in a rebuild. So, that's the compare and contrast that you have in Alberta right now.
One last hockey one before we switch gears. Best Regina Pat ever. Dale Durkach or Connor Bedard? You played with the Rat, and you seen Connor in the big.
Oh man,
I know that's a tough one. I know.
Okay, so I would put Doug Wickenheiser in that group as well.
Okay.
If you want to talk about, about the best. And so I have to say that, one of the big disappointments of my life is that in my fifth, sixth, seventh years in Boston, where I actually had a little bit of pull inside of the organization, that I never went to a Harry Sinden and said, hey, there's this guy named Dale Durkach, and I'd really like you to bring him to training camp, because if you did, he'd be on the team. And so Dale is one of the, great hockey people, but just an absolutely outstanding player. And in today's era, he would have played. In my era, it was just, somebody 5'6", 135, 140 pounds. Like it didn't meet the criteria of being an NHLer back in those days. But again, I played against Dale from when I was 14 years old, and then I played with him starting when I was 17. And it was way more fun to play with him than to play against him. Let me tell you that.
Both tremendous players, both first-class individuals, too, by the way. As are you, Nevin. And now you're in the political world. And that's why part of the reason why we have you on here today. How can we help you with this venture?
Yep. So my wife and I moved back to Saskatchewan 3 years ago to advance the province. I left hockey in 1992. Went off and got an MBA in finance, and kind of got to the top of the finance industry in the world. And so we've come back to Saskatchewan to pay back. Aaron is working in Indigenous education, and I am focusing on government. This is my third campaign in 15 months, Rod. So I've lost twice in a row. The last race that I was in, I lost by one vote. Literally one vote. And so I am running to be the Saskatchewan candidate, the Sask Party candidate in the next provincial election, which is very close. It's in October. And I'm running in the riding of Moosomin-Momart. So it's basically from Indian Head to the Manitoba border along the Trans-Canada Highway. What I offer that distinguishes myself from my competitor is that I've made a pledge that I will partner with every town council, every RM council, with every First Nation council. I will meet with them 2 to 3 times a year, and I will look for their 1 or 2 priorities for their area. And I will go into the legislature and I will lobby in order to get the resources in order for them to be able to attain those top 1 or 2 priorities. And so on the basis of that, I have been publicly endorsed by 3 mayors here in the riding, and many more are starting to follow along as well. So I'm very excited. If there's anyone that's watching that's in the riding, we're having an informational session tonight at 7 o'clock and in that meeting, I will get up and talk about what is my plank and what how I think I can help the province along. So that's at the Grenfell Legacy Inn, right on the Trans-Canada Highway. We'll probably have 100 or 200 people that will show up. So we're very excited, but I think Saskatchewan has the greatest prosperity profile of any place in the world. I lived in Massachusetts for 40 years. They know where everything is in Massachusetts. They've been, people, there's been industry in Massachusetts for 300 years. In Saskatchewan, the upper half of our province has something called rare earth minerals. It's a bounty that could be worth $1 trillion. And I think that the skill sets that I developed in the financial industry in Boston will allow me to help the province uncover that bounty. And I'm very, very excited about it, Rod. And, again, you've been a great friend over the years. And, I really appreciate the opportunity to get on this great show of yours.
I'm really excited for you, Nevin. And good luck with it. I wish I could be there tonight. But ladies and gentlemen, your next MLA for the riding of Moosomin-Momart, Nevin Markwart. Good luck, Nevin. You'll do great.
Thank you, Rod. Have a great day.
NHL veteran Flames and Bruins alum. And as I said, your next MLA for Moosomin Walmart, Nevin Markwart.